Good morning, student. Welcome to the PR Pote Patil College of Engineering and Management, Amravati, in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, and also welcome to the third year of fifth sem. I, Professor Trupti Gungde, going to teach you one subject of the fifth semester, that is Computer Architecture and Organization, which is also called as CAO. So in today's video, I am going to introduce this subject to you, that is computer architecture and organization. So many students learn it. So do you have an idea who learn this subject? Most of the branches of engineering, all BSc students, BCA students, and people who are preparing for GATE exam are studying this subject because it carries so much weightage in the examination. So talking about books, Carl Hamacher, William Stalling, John Hayes, Tannenbaum, these all are the excellent books on this subject. Okay, so coming to the topic, this lecture is totally about what is there in the subject, what are the things that you should learning. If you watching a video like this, so for example, if you are on Instagram or whatever you do on your phone or computer, you will know exactly what's going on. How does the information coming from the internet, where does it get stored, where does it temporarily held, and who process it, how does it get this place, and what are the things that made all of this faster. So how can you improve it further, and so on. Okay, so clear formal study of a computer, that is your subject, computer architecture and organization. Okay, so that's what this subject is all about. Okay, so now tell me, what are the basic functions of computer? Which computer I'm talking about? Whether it may be computer which is inside your remote, your television remote, or it may be the one which is inside your mobile phone. So what their functions, what do they do? The main job of a computer is to execute a program. Okay, that means the whole and sole purpose of this subject from start to end is to execute a program, and that's what a computer does. So whether you on a Facebook or on Instagram or on Snapchat or on YouTube or playing a game on your mobile phone, whatever you are doing, it's a program. So we're learning how program executes and how can we make them better. So that's the overall idea of this subject. Okay, so now I said a job of a computer is to execute a program. Who executes a program? The whole computer executes a program? Whole phone is executing a program? No. The program is executed by the heart of your computer. That means your processor. So whether it is 8085, 8086, whether it is Pentium, Intel, whatever it may be, your programs are executed by your processor. So all programs are executed here because this is a brain of your computer which does all the work. Okay, but they are not stored here. How can we store program inside a computer? Because there are so many programs, there are so many applications in your phone, you have so many movies stored in your computer. So how can all this stored inside the processor? They all stored inside a memory. Now, what is memory? Memory is not just one device. There are so many devices in memory, like your hard disks, floppy disks, CD, DVD, pen drive. RAM, ROM, different types of RAM, different types of ROM, cache memory, then again L1, L2, L3, L4 types of cache memory, etc. So there are number of types of memory that all we will discuss in this subject. So after studying this subject, you will know which information is stored in which type of memory. So what is the job of memory? The job of memory is to store information. After that, I/O devices. The third and last component of your computer system. So the computer is to give input into the processor and produce outputs. So I/O devices. School kids also know that is keyboard, mouse, printer, monitor. These all are the I/O devices. So keyboard, mouse are input devices. Printer, monitor are output devices. Okay. So do they run our program? No. Do they store our program? No. Then why are they needed in our computer system? To just give input and produce output. And that is, every device has a clear role in a computer system. Give input, produce output, store information, and do the action or do the processing. Okay, now are you clear with these things? The job of processor is to execute a program, is to process a program, or to do an action. The job of memory is to store a program. The job of I/O devices is to give input and produce output. Okay, clear with this? Now, the thing that connect all of them. Okay, so the thing that connect processor, memory, and I/O devices all together are called as buses. So these are your buses that connects your processor, memory, and I/O devices. So now everything that you see on your screen is there in your subject. Okay, that means processor, memory, I/O devices. This is all covered in your this subject, that is computer architecture and organization. So I tell you how this subject goes. Now start with the processor. In the processor, there are two parts. In the processor, there are two parts. First one is control unit and second one is execution unit. Both of them are very independent, but control unit is the most intense part and execution unit is the most fun part, because this is where we start the subject from. In this execution unit, your ALU comes, that is your arithmetic and logic unit. So have you heard of ALU, arithmetic logic unit? That's where all the actions takes place, because it has arithmetic logic circuit. So I said that execution unit is a very fun part because numbers are comes here. How to add numbers, how to subtract number, multiply, divide. It means that this execution unit is deals with an adder. With small changes, it can work as a subtractor, because no circuit in the work who can subtract a numbers. Just with the correct wiring of adder, we can make adder to work like a subtractor. Okay, now going to the next step, that is instructions. So the function of control unit. Right now we talk about execution unit. Now what is the function of, what is the working of control unit? Now the function of control unit is to fetch and decode instruction. What is the function of control unit? To fetch and to decode instruction. What I told you, there are three main components in your computer system. Processor, who executes a program, memory, who stores a program, input device, who gives input and generates output. Now there are two parts of processor, control unit and execution unit. This execution unit consists of arithmetic and logic circuit. That's why it works on numbers. That means your AND gate, NAND gate, adder, subtractor, multiplier, and so on. And now what is the working of control unit? Is to fetch an instruction and to decode instruction. Now, what is fetch and decode instruction? I said the job of computer is to execute a program. Now what is program? Program is a set of instruction. Whether it is C program, CPP program, VB, .NET, whatever it may be, program is a set of instructions. Okay. Now where are those instructions stored? They are stored in memory, because I already told you programs are stored in memory. Now program is a set of instruction. So where these instructions are stored? Instructions are stored in memory. Who is going to execute? Your processor is going to execute an instructions. So how every instruction first of all will be fetched into the processor. How these instructions are fetched into the processor? How? By using these buses. How instructions are fetched into the processor? By using these buses. That means the program is a set of instruction. Again, instruction first of all has to be fetched. To execute instruction, first we have to fetch it. Where instructions are stored? Instructions are stored in memory. So to execute them, processor has to fetch them from memory. So once it is fetched from memory, it has to be decoded. You are getting my point? Your programs are stored in your memory. This is your complete program. Now this program is a set of instruction. Now processor has to fetch this instruction by using this bus. Once instruction has to be fetched, processor has to decode these instructions. So what is decoding? Converting instructions into binary form is called as decoding. Typical Viva question, typical Viva answer. Decoding does not mean converting an instruction into zeros and ones. That means decoding is not converting binary form, converting into binary form, because it is already in 0 and 1. That's called as opcode. Now you will say, we never enter zeros and ones. Of course, you never enter 0 and 1. So who going to enter zeros and ones? That is your machine level language. So that is automatically converted into 0 and 1. Whether you entered C, C++, Java, VB.NET, Oracle, Python, that's higher level language. Then you give a program to your compiler. You compile your program. In C language, you compile your program. In CPP, you also compile your program. So why do you compile your program? To check for errors? No. You compile your program to convert it into machine language. You see, after compilation, there is a .bin file or .obj file. Okay, that is machine language. So similarly, you may type your program in assembly language, which add, for example, add B, C or add L, Cl, which is you learn in your microprocessor subject. That is a assembly language. Then you give your program to an assembler, which converts your program into machine language. So moral of the story is that when the program is stored in a memory, it is already in machine language. No need to convert it into machine language. It means that decoding does not mean converting your program into binary form. So when the processor fetches an instruction from memory, it is already in machine language. So what is decoding? What is decoding? Decoding does not mean converting into machine language. It is already in machine language. So decoding means understanding the binary pattern. What does this binary format signifies? 0010 means addition. For example, I am telling you example. 1010 that means subtract, 0011 multiply, 1011 divide, etc. So decoding means understanding the binary pattern. What does this binary format signifies? That means what that instruction says to you. That means you have to perform addition, whether you have to perform subtraction. These all operations are signified by your decoding. So every instruction will have a particular binary pattern. That pattern is called opcode. So I will showing you how the opcode is formed and how the opcode is decoded. So when the processor fetches an instruction from memory into processor, what it gets? It gets an opcode. Then it analyzes that opcode, that is called your decoding. Means to understand whether it wants to add, whether it wants to subtract, multiply, divide, etc. So whatever it has to do, so the part of the processor that does this much fetching, decoding. Okay, so this fetching and decoding is done by the control unit. So the part that does execution. Now here you can see program is a set of instructions. First we have to fetch instruction, then we have to decode instruction. After decoding we have to execute an instruction. Now fetching and decoding has to be done by this control unit. Now execution part is remain. So who does execute that instruction? Of course processor will execute that instruction, but the execution part of processor will going to execute an instruction, not the whole processor. Processor is divided into two parts. So fetching and decoding is done by first part, that is control unit. Execution is done by the second part, that is execution unit. So execution unit has arithmetic and logic unit, which we already discussed. Control unit, when you learn, that's the separate chapter itself in your syllabus. So what does it teach you? It will teach you how the instructions are formed, what is a format of an instruction, what is the addressing modes of instruction, how do you get operands, what is pipelining, which is going to make processor faster and faster. Then you learn how does the control unit decode instruction, the most delicate part of this subject, how to decode an instruction. So this is your control unit and this is your execution unit. So this whole part, learning the control unit and execution unit, forms you understanding of processor. Then you get on to learn about memory. So when you learn memory, look each of them independent topic. Your processor is independent, your memory works independent, and IO devices. Okay, so look each of them are independent topics. So when you learning the processor, its focus is on fetch, decode, execute instructions. Okay, that is done. So when you learning memory, what is the job of memory? Memory job is to store program. Memory's job is to store instruction. So your suo motu agenda is to understand how information is stored in a memory. So when you say memory, there are so many memory devices like hard disks, floppy disks, CD, DVD, pen drives. So they are called secondary memories. RAM, ROM, These are primary memories. Cache memory, independent memory itself, which is a high speed memory. Then the types of cache memory, L1, L2, L3, L4. So there is a unified cache, split cache, loop aside cache, direct mapping, set associative mapping, etc. So there are many much in memory alone. So all concepts are very interesting topics. Virtual memory management teaches you segmentation, paging. Very simple example. The simple example of paging is your book. It has a chapters. Each chapter has number of pages. In the pages, there are number of paragraphs. In the paragraph, there is a information. So you want to access that information, that single piece of information. Okay. But for that, how do you know about it? You tell your friends, I want so and so chapter. But because you don't remember page numbers, who remember page numbers? You say, I want so and so chapter, so and so topic. Inside a chapter, fourth line of that topic is where my information or is where my answer is. So this is called virtual address, also called logical address. Why? Because it is a logical way of remembering everything. So now consider one more example. For example, using it, for example, Bahubali. Bahubali part 1, 20th minute. So this movie is stored inside your computer and you played it. It comes into your RAM. From the RAM, it comes into your cache memory. From the cache memory, it comes into L1 cache. And when it comes into L1 cache, it wants that you want to know. So from where it was stored, where it was finally, it is your conversion of logical data, your conversion of virtual address and physical address. So cache memory address, that's what is called address translation. That what you will learn in your subject. So during this whole process, what you want to know? Whether my information comes here. If it comes, where it is stored, that's what happens. So that I told you what happens inside your computer. Your file is first stored in your hard disk. Then it broken down into number of pages that comes into RAM. Then broken down into small sections that comes into your cache memory. And from there it comes into the processor. So first of all is the ability to know whether it has come into the processor. And if it is comes into the processor, in that section, there is your information. So you will be learning all that's address translation in this subject. So the reason of giving introduction was to make you understand that memory is so different from processor. Memory is a vast concept. You learn all that in a memory. You learn all types of RAM, SRAM, DRAM. In DRAM, there is a SDRAM, DDR. In ROM, there is a PROM, EEPROM, flash ROM. In hard disks, you will learn RAID levels, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are so many things in memory. It can be a whole subject, but now it's a part of your subject. Now, lastly, we come to the I/O devices, input output devices. So I/O is the simplest of all. In I/O, you will learn what is synchronous and asynchronous data transfer, what is serial, parallel data transfer, what is bus structure, what is closely coupled, loosely coupled bus structure. Then you will learn I/O data transfer bus. Then you will learn I/O mapped I/O, memory mapped I/O, interrupt driven I/O, whole idea of interrupt, types of interrupt, maskable interrupt, non-maskable, vectored, non-vectored. Okay, and then you will learn about DMA, that is direct memory access, which enables other devices to access memory directly without or a very less interference of the processor. That we will see in this subject. Then you will learn most advanced part of the IO, that is IO channel. So this is about the all over introduction of this subject. I hope you understand with this. In the next lecture, we will talk about what is computer architecture and organization. What is the basic difference between computer architecture and computer organization? And then we will start our actual syllabus. So I hope you understand. Thank you very much.